Today we're sharing our viewpoints on the game River of Gold from Office Dog.
Welcome to Tainter Panel Studio 3. I'm Kevin.
I'm Melissa. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Will.
And today we are doing a viewpoints on River of Gold from Office Dog. We're going to divide today's video into 4 categories. We're going to do components, our dislikes or critiques, our likes, and then final thoughts. But before we do, let's do a quick overview of the game.
River of Gold is an action selection contract fulfillment game for 2 to 4 players that takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. It's published by Office Dog, and they sent us this copy to review. You play as a merchant for the crab, crane, mantis, or scorpion clan. On your turn, you take one action. Either build a building, sail one of your ships down the river, or make a delivery to a customer. The specifics for each option are determined by your die roll. If you roll a 3, you can build in Region 3, move your ship 3 spaces down the river, or deliver to a customer showing a 3. Sailing down the river is the main way to collect resources and money. You deliver resources to customers in exchange for useful ongoing benefits and endgame scoring opportunities. You use money to build buildings along the river, which gives you influence in the matching region. Buildings also provide valuable rewards when players activate them. Ultimately, you're trying to earn the most points to win the game.
Alright, let's do our components first. What do we think of the components of River of Gold?
So are we talking components, artwork? Is that all
It's
mixed in?
all mixed in together.
The components are cardboard and wooded discs, right? Are there other
Or the
components that I'm
boats?
missing? The boats. There are wooden
boats.
boats. And the upgraded
Gold
boats.
foil.
That's not a component. That's what I was asking.
The board is a component.
The board is a component. The
listed
artwork for
in-
this game is fantastic. The special effects that they did on the board, on the box, on the cards, on the cardboard, everything looks beautiful in here.
I know.
Can
Get that shimmer.
Can I
You
get it?
that shimmer? Yeah, the board really is a fantastic looking board. They've got the gold foiling on top of the dark blue ink, so you've got some really nice contrast on that. I think the whole layout for the board is pretty, it's symmetrical up and down. Everything has its own little place. Like, it fits really good. There's not any wasted space. I like the artwork for it a lot.
I do like all the components. Sometimes some of the colors, some people got confused a little bit when we're playing. It's like, why do we have these colors and not these colors? You have the person colors, you have the board colors, then you have the building colors, and they're all different for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes in your mind, you might just get a little bit of like, oh, just confused.
I did have trouble understanding what things went in what slots. I don't think that had anything to do with the art. That was just my understanding of, oh, this represents the tribe, this represents that portion of the river. Yeah, once you understand the rules, it's not that.
I think my only complaint about the rules, and this is going to move into...
But we're not ready for
Critiques
that
already.
yet.
It's a component dislike.
Okay, good.
Is there's not a slot on the board for the tiles, the building tiles. They had to make a separate little board for those. Why
Extras.
was that not on the main board?
Okay.
Could have been on the main board.
Okay.
They could have
The
shifted
supply.
The
Mm-hmm.
supply for it is a separate little board off by itself. Could have just been
Yeah.
2 more slots on the main board instead of having this extra thing off
Yeah,
to the
but
side.
I will say, component-wise, there's a lot of stuff. There's a 6-section board, so it takes up a big table space. Then you have your own sort of player boards, and you have cards then that you're putting out. So there's this table presence-wise. There's a lot of components going on in the game.
Yeah, I do like that the ships are different colors for each clan, but they're also different shapes. And the shapes match the artwork on your player board. So that was really nice. And then you have the one upgraded ship.
That's
and I
cool.
believe that those are also all different shapes
There you go.
as well. So I did like that.
Sarah didn't comment yet on the fact that they didn't use primary colors. You gonna jump in with
yeah.
that?
I didn't, but I do like that they picked a different color palette. There's red and a teal green color, but the values on those are very different, so somebody colorblind can still figure it out. Plus, they're, like you said, they're different shapes.
And there's even iconography if someone is colorblind that they can't see certain things. It's all has different icons that will help you differentiate the different pieces. Yeah, I think what really draws most people in are going to be the gold, the river, like the little river of gold that goes down the middle of the board. So cool.
Yep.
So I do appreciate that they have a lot of information for the game on either the game board, your player aid, or your player board. So once you know the rules, almost everything for scoring and how you take your actions and the icons are available in things that you can see.
All right, let's do critiques or dislikes. Anybody have? I have one, but I've been talking a lot, so.
Were you back? Did you have another one? What was your anything further on that one critique?
I think the game time, maybe this is what you're going to say, the game time could swing pretty wildly different depending on what end game goals you pick, which we found out. You guys had a longer game, and then we played one where you're trying to build the buildings, and that's the end game trigger. And so first to build one of each different type of building, our game was very quick.
Yeah, we played it in an hour.
4 players, and it was Will's first play.
Right. I was like, give me another chance. I need more things. Yeah, it did go quick. I didn't, I like tighter, shorter games, so it didn't bother me. And the fact that you've got that variety is fine. But it has the potential to be less consistent. Sure, I'll give it that.
One of my critiques is the bookkeeping that can be a little bit of a bear for some of the clans, and even just to make sure that you are looking at all your cards, even if you don't. There are certain clans there's a little bit more bookkeeping. What I mean by is just keeping track of everything that's in front of you and on the board to make sure that you didn't miss anything, because you're trying to get resources, you're trying to get coins, you're trying to get points, and if you miss something, then you're missing out on that thing, whatever that thing is. I played a game where my clan let me get points if I did a certain thing. And of course, all the other things, I just kept forgetting what my clan did, and I missed out on a few points that way.
Well, I appreciated that you were like, every time we're going down the river, you were taking care of the reset, move the tiles, slide the things. I didn't have to worry about that at all, which was nice. So yeah, somebody does need to pay attention to the bookkeeping.
Yeah, and I guess to go with that, you have ownership bonuses, so someone else can trigger your buildings.
Yep, if you're not paying attention.
I think Kevin and I were trying to pay attention to that and make sure Will got his stuff, because Will wouldn't have known that he was supposed to get stuff, because
Right.
So you kind of need someone.
Over here reading the fine text.
And because there's a big board, and you might be on the other end of the table, you're like. We had one point in the game where there was 4 ships at one spot, so it was just a little harder to see a specific spot.
Which rewards you were supposed to get.
Because usually you're getting 4 different rewards, and if there's a building, you're maybe even getting more stuff depending on the buildings there.
So a critique that I have, and it's not a deal breaker, and it's actually semi-critique. The dice.
I knew this was going to be one of the critiques. All right. Last night.
Because there's dice in this game, there is some randomness, and the die roll determines what you can do. I really needed to deliver to a value 3 merchant. And I had everything that I needed, and it would set me up for future things to do this thing first. I rolled 6 3 times in a row. Now, there are ways to mitigate. You have divine favor that you can spend, but I didn't have
enough
3 divine favor to get a 6
down to
a 3. So I had to do other things that I didn't really want to do and be like, well, I guess I'll do something else before I deliver, but the deliver was going to give me bonuses for going down the river, but I had to go down the river first, and so...
and she still beat us.
Yes.
So there can be a little bit of frustration or randomness just because they're dice. But I'll actually talk about the dice in my life.
I don't have any more critiques.
later.
Anybody else?
No, go
I'll
ahead.
only agree that I had the same frustration with twice, because I managed to roll a 3 like 4 times in a row, and I was like, any other number would be helpful, because you've got just enough ability to change your dice that you can change 3 places or whatever, but when the number you need is 4 away, 3 turns in a row, it's like, come on, I just need one dice number different. I did feel like when I had to go do other things that I didn't want to do, that I was still getting rewarded, moving towards goals. So it was just a matter of like, when do I take this action? Not this turn, I guess I'm going to wait another turn. And so, yeah, it's got some randomness in it.
All right, let's move to our likes in the game. I like the simplicity. Melissa mentioned the overview. Basically, on your turn, at the end of your turn, you're rolling a die, and that die face is determining what you're doing. You're either going to be moving your ship, you're going to be building, or you're going to be delivering. It's all determined based on that one thing. So,
and to be clear, you can always choose one of those 3 actions, the die is telling you where you do that
Correct.
action.
Where
Yeah,
you're
where-
going to build, how many spaces you're going
I
to
like that. It's the simplicity, but just all the different options that you have is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was when I was talking about my dislike of the dice.
Okay.
My like of it is for someone who can be AP
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, knowing that, okay, I have to do something in 5 or 6 or 4 if I use my favor, it limits those possibilities.
There's a tension there because sometimes you want to do all 3 things.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
like-
it's hard to figure out like what should I be doing this turn that's going to benefit me the most. Well, I can't afford the buildings here, so maybe I'll move right now and get some more resources and get some more gold so that next turn I can do what I want and hopefully get a die roll that is close.
Yeah, we played through it pretty speedily because once I understood, I think they were ahead of me. Once I understood the mechanics of the game, it was like, oh yeah, quick. Like we moved fast. It wasn't necessarily that the game ended too quickly. It was just that we actually were very
We knew what you were
efficient
doing.
in our turns. Yeah.
So I like the engine building in the game. So at the beginning of the game, you don't have any of your own buildings out there. You don't have any cards. You haven't really made those deliveries. So as you're making the deliveries, you're getting cards that usually are helping you get more things. There are some that are just mainly end game points, but most of them are giving you a discount. They're helping you with building. They're helping you with all the different benefits and bonuses, and that can pile up. And sometimes you're getting the same thing that can even do like the same kind of card that helps you even more.
Right, like if you have 2 merchants or 2 nobles, now you're upping the benefits.
And game points too.
That's what I was gonna say. I enjoyed the in-game scoring in it because I felt like I had a good grasp on where we were at. I was like in a strong second
And
place.
Sarah's in the very far back.
I only had 7 points before endgame scoring, but then I ended up in second place because all of my scoring ended up,
Endgame.
because of my power, clan power, it gave me a ton of bonuses right at the end.
Yeah, and I like a good game where you can kind of have an idea of what's going on, but then, surprise at the end, you did play really well, you did plan really well. There's a nice reward for that, which is cool.
We didn't talk about the player powers too much, but at the beginning of the game, all the clans have basically 2 leaders that they can choose from. I don't know. I feel like one usually is better than the other one, but maybe
They always
I'm just
look
like
that way.
Yeah, but it's like maybe the other ones could be a better game for your game.
Yeah, it seemed like some of them gave you some strong getting started powers. Some of them had ones that were going to help you later in the game, and so picking your own
You had
play
one that lets you
strategy-
basically build wherever you want.
Right, and I
Instead of-
started off with a bunch of money, so it was like very helpful to be able to just plop 2
Yeah.
spots that I was going to get lots of rewards from for the whole rest of the game.
And I could deliver anytime I wanted. I didn't have to worry about my dice roll. I should have delivered more.
You only delivered like 2 or 3 times, Kevin.
Kevin did not play to his power.
Leverage
I didn't win. Okay.
I hope mine was on the there's influence tracks for each of the building sections, and I could skip over everybody else on the tracks.
That's nice.
So I held off building
Yeah.
the beginning because I was like, I need everybody else to move up on these tracks so then I can.
Just skip over.
I know,
Skip
each
over
time
'em.
I moved up that track, I'm like, I'm helping Sarah. And I know this because I played that character last time. I'm helping Sarah because she'll just bounce over me instead of counting that space.
All right. Any other likes?
Let's see.
I mean, we already said this in the components, but I really do enjoy a game when you've got a large board and it's used well. I know there's a lot of games out there that they just are trying to show off the art and the size and the scale, but this one felt really well organized. It did, once you understood where things were aligning at, like the componentry and the design fit well to help you know how to play the game.
Yep.
I think it did a really, really good job of enhancing the gameplay just through the visuals.
I like that there are a lot of different ways to get points. There's kind of set collection, or at least if you do a lot of deliveries, those are going to be worth points.
Your buildings.
There are common goals
Yeah.
that change out each game that are going to be worth points if you get the goal early, so that gives you something to work towards. You can get lots of points during the game from your buildings and rewards. And then those influence tracks that you go up can be a lot of points at the end of the game. They also give you some good stuff as you go up them too,
Yeah.
so that's nice.
In your last couple of videos, you've talked about like, oh yeah, this is making it into the top 10 for the year. What do you think? Is this in
Final
there?
thoughts.
Yeah,
All right.
what's your,
Final thoughts.
What's your ranking so far, 2024?
I don't know if it's in my top 10 or not for this year. I've got some pretty good games in the top 10.
It's definitely a contender. I have it. I'll have to sit down and actually start doing my rankings, but it's definitely one I'm going to consider for it.
You know, for final thoughts, this game, you mentioned this, I think when we were learning it, or you're like, this seems like older Euro.
An old school Euro?
An old school Euro game. Not that in a bad way, just like, it's got that...
Because it's kind of not simple, but the rules overhead is not much.
Right. I think that's
And
actually one of the
there's
reasons
a lot
I
of variability.
did like it, because this is the type of game that I will actually take the time to replay and pull out with new people, because it's not going to be such a hard teach that I have to dedicate an hour to explaining it.
And
And it's got the table presence, so I'm like, let's play this one. It's beautiful and straightforward, and it has some nice things going on. So
yeah, it's one that the rules are easy enough that even if I, for some reason, came back to it a year later, I could flip through the rules and this is how we set it up, and then these are the things you're going to do on your turn, and you can jump into it very quickly.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's not convoluted. The iconography is pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got that classic feel. I think that's really kind of the old Euro style. Is like, it's a classic. This has potential to be around, and it looks beautiful. So.
Yeah, I can see it being in my top 10 this year.
Yeah, so let us know what your thoughts are. Have you played River of Gold? Does it look like something you're interested in? How do you balance your game decisions? Do you go by aesthetics and visuals? Do you go by mechanics? Do you balance them? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, following along, liking all of our videos here at Tantrum House.
Should I put it on the hot games table for Tantrum Con?
Ooh.